It's important to not be bogged down by this work. It's hard work, and you often carry the stories home. We make mistakes sometimes. We do bad things sometimes, but that hasn't robbed you of your humanity. On a team, I've always seen myself as part of the team, a servant leader. I see myself as a coach. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm absolutely human. But if I make mistakes and nobody tells me about it, it's not just shame on me, it's shame on you. I want you to tell me about it because I want to correct it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Addy Hour podcast. I appreciate you all being here. I'm grateful to be hosting yet another conversation and encouraged by the way you all are continuing to engage in the conversations. Still encourage you to continue liking these episodes and sharing them with your friends and with those around you so we can really spread the word. And one of the things I just wanted to mention, one of the reasons we're actually able to have these conversations is really because of how much has changed in the culture over the last few years. In the sense that a lot of people are more open to having conversations about emotional and mental wellness, and even having conversations about trying to navigate through mental illness as well. So in that vein, today, I'm honored to be able to give you all a peek, in a sense, into a world that most of us do not have access to on a day-to-day basis. And that's the world of what does it actually look like to lead or direct a mental health institution. Now, even when I say that, there's probably a lot of things that are coming to mind as you think about mental health institutions, but this is something that I think is really important for us, and I'm honored today to be able to host someone who's going to be able to give us that glimpse from the many different leadership positions that he's had and his current leadership position as CEO of a mental health center. So just to give you all a little bit of a teaser, this individual really has had lots of leadership over the years, not only in this specific role, but has also given counsel to state government, federal government, and college and university government as well. So someone who's really at the forefront of how we think about, approach, and talk about mental health as a society. And again, I'm just honored to be able to host him here today. The last thing I'll say is this someone who actually has a role in the fact that I'm even sitting here talking to you all, because this is someone that I've leaned on to for mentorship for over a decade. And so in many ways, even though he won't take credit for this, this individual has played a key role in just giving me the courage to be able to step into some of these conversations and to actually to speak from my place of expertise as a neuroscientist and my perspective as a man of faith and so many different other things. I'm getting ahead of myself, but you can hear in my voice, I just have a lot of gratitude for this individual. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Charles Dike to the Addy Hour podcast.
Thank you very much, Dr. Addy. And I just have to say, you're just too kind. You're too kind in giving me credit, but I appreciate you. And thank you so much for stepping up to this stage and doing all these wonderful things. I know it's hard to do. So well done and kudos to you.
Thank you. I'll definitely take that encouragement and run with it. So thank you for that. So as you can tell, we know each other, but I have to make sure I introduce you all to Dr. Dike as well, just to give you a sense of his background and some of the things that he's continued to be involved in. So Dr. Charles Dike is professor of psychiatry here at Yale. He's also deputy chair for state affairs. And as I alluded to, he's chief executive officer of the Connecticut Mental Health Center. Before that, he was also chief medical officer in the Office of the Commissioner, and that was in the Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. He's also past president of the American Academy of Psychiatry and the Law. So again, as you can hear, a lot of accolades, a lot of leadership experience. But one of the things that I really appreciate about him, in addition to his mentorship, is that he really is a caring, compassionate, thoughtful, and encouraging individual. And I know that that really shapes how he does everything that he does. So you all are privileged to be able to have this opportunity to hear from someone of this stature, but also to hear from someone who really invests in people in the way he does. So Dr. Dike, thank you again.
And thank you again. Again, as I said, you are too kind.
Can't help it. Can't help it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So as my listeners know, just to pull them in a little bit too, just want to start with my general check-in question just to see how you're doing at this point in time. And again, it's been helpful for listeners to be able to hear from people in different realms, but also hear how they navigate just like the rest of us.
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. But I have to sort of preface that by saying that my bar for doing well is pretty low. In other words, if I wake up in the morning, I stand up, there's air in my lungs, I can talk and can breathe, I don't have major difficulties. It's a wonderful day. And then I turn around and my wife is breathing. She's about to get up. The children are up. Everything is fine. I'm having a really, really good day. Everything else is a bonus because I think that oftentimes we take it for granted that we are here and that we are healthy and that we can work. We can be out there doing work. It's not easy. And so being able to do all of that on a daily basis, it's wonderful. So I always say, I'm doing well. And everything else is a bonus. It really is. Because if you've been ill and you can't do what you normally do, then you'll understand what I mean. So I'm doing well.
That's really great to hear.
Yeah.
Even with the way that you frame that, there's so many things that are coming to mind already. So I'm going to try and think about where I want to go and also what the listeners might be curious about as well, because that perspective is so healthy. But I think if people also knew the fullness of what you encounter on a day-to-day basis, they may actually find it hard to believe that someone could have that perspective. So just to give you all a little bit of insight, Dr. Dike and I were talking before as well, but even in his profession as a forensic psychiatrist, I mean, the things that you would deal with as a forensic psychiatrist are not easy things.
That's true.
They're difficult things, they're painful things, they're messy things, they're inappropriate things at times. And so just even to hear you talk about the simple things and how that helps you move forward on a day-to-day basis, I think is very impressive. But how do you reconcile those two? If someone is saying, okay, if I was a forensic psychiatrist, I don't know if I'd wake up with that perspective. Maybe I'd be burdened by all the things I'm thinking about that I have to deal with that specific day, or if I'm leading a mental health institute. So how does that actually work in your mind?
I think it comes from a place of gratitude and privilege. Because I know that much has been given to me, right? It is not by chance that you rise to the level where I am. And I understand that being able to participate in helping others, it's a privilege and it's a responsibility. And so no matter how hard things are, no matter how difficult the world is, no matter how turbulent things are happening around me, of course they are, no matter how all those things are happening, just taking a step back to say, at least I have the privilege of participating in making a difference, in changing something, in working with people to move things in a positive direction. Just that realization alone is enough for me to feel good, despite the difficulties.
Yeah.
Now, I've lost all my hair because of the struggle of life, but still, I still think that the lens through which I look at things, I'm a very optimistic person, and I always trying to find the positive area and angle on how to make a difference. And so to the extent that I can do that, to the extent that people call on me to assist, to the extent that people ask for this and that, and I know it's challenging and difficult and it stretches me to no end, but to the extent that that's happening, it's a privilege. Well, and I also see it as to whom much is given, much is expected. And if I can do it, I'm excited that I can do it.
Wow, that's really, really healthy and really helpful as well. And I do also want to touch on your path to these different roles, but one other thought that came to mind, even as you were talking, is a question about how that impacts those around you. And I realize that's probably a better question for me to ask those who work with you on your teams and those that work for you. But just from your perspective, how do you think the way that you approach things actually rubs off on or impacts those? Because you're all involved in work that can be challenging at times. So it's and maybe you have a clear sense, maybe it's a guess, maybe it's things people have told you, but any thoughts?
I think that role modeling is absolutely crucial.
Okay.
I think that, and I'm just casting my mind back to when I worked in a maximum security psychiatric hospital with some of the most challenging patients who are also quite dangerous. And it's very difficult to lose hope in those environments because it's very challenging and difficult. But I find that when I, as a psychiatrist, come on board and I'm excited and happy and, trying to make things look positive, it decreases some of the difficulties staff are having. It provides a level of levity that maybe would not exist because of the intensity. It's a very intense, it's like working in an intense environment, right?
Yeah.
And so I just find that type of role modeling helps people loosen up. It helps people think, well, maybe it's not as bad as we are thinking. Or maybe we can get through this one more day, right? Let's get through this one more day and another day and another day. And just be excited that we have the opportunity to do what we are doing. So I think it rubs up in a positive way. I've also been accused of being too positive and saying, what's wrong with you? Can't you see what's going on here? But I do think overall it's important to not be bogged down by this work. It's hard work, and you often carry the stories home of very challenging, difficult things people have done. And some of it, and also challenging, difficult things that have happened to people as a result of their illness. It's very challenging to carry that, in your space and hold it in your heart. But you have to always find the silver lining. You have to look for, ways to lighten it, just so that you can do it for longer. So I think it spreads around and it makes. I've heard people say that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Before, yes.
Yeah, that seems very important. I don't know if it's critical, but it seems like it helps you be effective in those roles. And even as you were talking, I'm noticing, because even when you framed it, you said, I have the opportunity to help people. Then you also talked about people who have done things that have been harmful, but you also talked about things that have been done to them. Yes. So in a sense, I'm also seeing how that, what's the best way to say it? How your intentionality in helping people seems to frame everything that you do as well. Because I imagine, again, some people wouldn't be going into that arena with that perspective of helping people.
Absolutely.
Maybe correcting people, punishing people, whatever those other words are that come up as well. But any reflections on where does that come from for you?
This is a really tough topic, but I think that you have to look at every human being as a human being. And we all share that. We're all human beings. We're all God's children. We make mistakes sometimes. We do bad things sometimes, but that hasn't robbed you of your humanity. And by virtue of being human means that you deserve dignity. You deserve respect. You've done terrible things. Sometimes you've done them because of a mental illness that robbed you of your ability to make right judgments. And so you did something really, really bad. How do you judge someone by the acts they've done at their worst? And how do you allow those things to now remove the humanity? I've been in environments where people see them as animals, as criminals, have all these tags that you use to define these people who've done things. But one thing they don't add is human. And so how do you break through the glass and bring the humanity back? That becomes my task. My task is how to bring these people back into the human race, despite the terrible things they've done, and having people look through that, look beyond that, and see the person and say, I see you. Now, I don't agree with what you're doing.
Right.
I don't agree with what you've done, but I still see you. I think that's a challenge, but that's a challenge I'm willing to continue to really confront, because I think it's very important that we don't lose sight of the fact that we are all human beings with all our flaws, with all our difficulties, all our challenges, with all our differences. At the end of the day, all of us have one thing in common. We are human. And that alone mandates us to deserve respect and deserve treatment with dignity, with compassion. You have to have this compassion in what you're doing. So how do you reflect all of that? And you don't ignore the danger of the person, and you don't ignore what they've done, but that's just one piece of everything else about them. So that's how I think about it. Again,
as I'm listening to speak, it's very impressive in a sense too, that you're able to be in that place. I imagine that that's taken, well, actually, I don't know if it's taken time to get to that place or if it's something that you've inherently felt in your calling or if it's a mixture of the two, but it just seems so important.
I think it's a mixture of the two. I think I've always been very passionate about rights. Like going back to even when I was a child, I would say, that's not right. It's always, that's not right. That's not right. But the more I, began to understand the injustices sometimes that human beings are exposed to, and those can be as a result of a variety of reasons. Food mental illness is one. Sometimes it could be gender, it could be race, it could be sex, could be. But when I began to understand just the oppression that some human beings encounter as a result of their difference, then that's not right begins to spread out to include so many other things.
Yeah.
Because that's not right, it's not right. So that's where it came from. And then I've seen patients in some environments be treated worse than you would treat your dog, worse than you would treat any animal. And these are human beings. And I've seen them be treated that way. And I was just like, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's both of them. It's experiential and it's historical in terms of how you just see my lens with which I see the world. Yeah. I'm very passionate about making sure that people are respected.
That's so important. Yeah. The immediate question that comes up in my mind is how, especially because, with the framing of this conversation being leadership, there are many different ways that people view leadership. Yes. Sometimes people say they're just off in their own world, they're aloof, they don't know what it's like here on the ground, or they've worked their way up so they understand, or any combination of those. So what does the how actually look like for you? And how do you make sure that the how gets incorporated, not that people don't just listen and then once you're out the room say, okay, whatever, we're going to do what we need to do?
That's right. There are many different ways to approach this. But I think that I don't see myself as this leader who's far removed from the staff.
Okay.
I think titles are important, but I think that titles are what titles are, right? Titles don't determine who you are as a person. They don't determine how you interact with people, right? On a
some
team,
would think it does.
Yeah, some do.
Act as if it does.
Some do, but for me, that's not,
Yeah.
On a team, I've always seen myself as part of the team.
Okay.
A servant leader. I see myself as a coach. So we have multiple teams. Sometimes we have complicated teams, but they're all teams, right? And I'm part of that team, but I'm the coach of the team as the leader. And my goal is to motivate people. My goal is to identify the strengths that people have and weaknesses and play to people's strengths. Because at the end of the day, the goal is for the team to win.
Right.
We are all winning when we're all playing to the best of our abilities, which means I'm paying attention to what is making life difficult for you, right? At work, sometimes at home. I'm trying to understand how, what's making you tick one way or the other. And that would inform how I decide to approach the play with you this time. Right. I'm calling the plays, right? Yep. And if there are things that are providing significant barriers, preventing you from achieving your goal, then I have to find how to break down those barriers because you're looking up to me to do that. You're not saying it, but I can see it. And I know it's my responsibility as the coach.
Right.
Everything I need to do to make you perform to your best is what I'm going to do. But it starts with me, right? It starts with me trying to add value to your life, add value to what you're doing. Ask you, have you considered doing this extra? Right. I see you have a lot of skills in this area. Have you considered getting more degrees? How can I help you get there? Yeah. I also see it as me demonstrating character traits that engenders trust, that engenders people wanting to work with you. I'm always reminded of the quote by General Norman Schwarzkopf, who was, World War II. And he said, leadership is a potent combination of character and strategy. But if you had to choose one, you choose character. I completely agree with that. But what does that mean? What are you reflecting? You're reflecting humility first, right? That means you're approachable. People can talk to you. People can see you as one of them, despite your title. Integrity. That means your word is your bond. You're not going to play fast and loose with stuff. People, what you say is what you do, right? Honesty, which means people can believe what you're saying. Even when things are tough, you're going to be honest in how you present it. You're not going to be trying to, shuffle things here and there and model facts. You're going to be honest and tell people this is how it is. I'm really sorry. But it's all about how it is presented.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I also learned. By the way, I've had multiple mentors in my life, and I still have mentors and supervisors. And one of my mentors, Ezra Griffith, from an emeritus professor here, used to say, even if you're sending a one-line email, one line, look at it over and over again. Make sure that the punctuation marks are correct. Make sure that the syntax is right. Make sure that it's saying what you want it to say. Don't just do it casually, because everything reflects on who you are. So even when you're given a negative message, it's not about what you say. It's about how you say it.
Yeah.
And so I would oftentimes spend a lot of time thinking about how to present it. I'm not going to lie, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and model the facts. But the question is, how am I going to present it so that it's less hurtful to you than if I just presented it anyhow? So the character traits that help you be honest, integrity, selflessness, people can see that, right? And, courage. And also, you have to just be disciplined.
Yeah.
So all these character traits will be trust. And trust is the foundation of any leadership, because that leads to credibility. Are you credible? That leads to authority. Should we believe what you're saying? Are we going to go with you? So, but that's uncomfortable, because you have to come down to a certain level. This is your goal. My goal always is to try to find, what's going on with people. What's the landscape of where I'm working? Like if I get into a new place. Are people happy? I'm actually looking at the staff to see if they are happy coming to work or happy doing their work. What drives them? Is it helpfulness? Is it power? Is it greed? Is it fear or anxiety? I've seen fear and anxiety drive staff in very challenging environments. And if you're not addressing that, if you're not understanding that the reason they're coming up with this, custodial type mentality and controlling behavior, it's because they're afraid. It's not because they're bad people. They're afraid. So you have to figure out how to reduce the fear so that they can meet you where you are. Otherwise, you're just talking. So it takes a lot to just, get into all of those spaces to try to understand how to move forward.
And I would imagine that people see you as this type of leader who's there with them and walking things out with them as well, which is important. But even as you were talking about, my question that came to mind was, do you have assistant coaches?
In other words, the people I work with, oh my goodness, my leadership team. I think that, again, modeling is important. When I meet with my team, I'm very clear what's important to me. I'm very clear how I think they should think about certain things. And if they don't, they should tell me, I love debates. I've always loved a debate. And sometimes I take the opposite position just to see how I can get clarity from talking to you and listening to you. So I think my leadership team, in very short order, know exactly who I am. Understand my values, understand what's important to me, and why. And I encourage feedback. One of the things that happens when you rise to a certain level is nobody wants to tell you when you're doing something wrong. So individually, I call them and I say, I'm really serious about this. I want to do better. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm absolutely human. But if I make mistakes and nobody tells me about it, it's not just shame on me. It's shame on you. I want you to tell me about it because I want to correct it. And I tell staff the same. I met with a staff member the other day, and I said the same to the staff member. I said, I'm going to be coming around, talking to everyone. I'm going to be listening. But I'm going to make mistakes. but I really appreciate it when you pull me aside and say, no, Dr. Dike, that was just terrible. That was a horrible thing you said. I want to hear it.
How do you get them to that place? Because I'm putting myself in their shoes, and the first thing that comes to mind is the power structure. People can say, okay, it's nice, I heard that, but I can't really say that. Or if I do, there's going to be consequences for me because I'm lower on the totem pole, per se. Right. So how does that actually work in terms of getting people to that place?
So that's the task, right? The task is making people comfortable, that they see that you actually care, that they see that you mean what you say. So it's all the tasks that come together. The other thing is the quickness to write people up. Consequences, like the negative, serious, you've done something bad, I have to quickly write you up because you shouldn't have done it. I don't ascribe to that.
Really? Okay.
I think, there are clearly some really egregious things you're going to do, and we don't have a choice but to, and I'll let you know we don't have a choice. And I will talk about it and let you know. Because again, I'm going to, even as I'm talking to you about it, I'm going to be recognizing that you're human, you make mistakes. I don't know if you slept well last night. Yeah. I don't know if what's going on with your child. I understand all of those things can have influence in how you behave. But this is an egregious behavior. We have to address it. So it's again in the how, right? It's in the how. And again, I spend some time to think about the how because I want to hear how you hear it, right?
So you're not doing it flippantly and quickly without...
No. So, but that's for the egregious behaviors that need to be responded to right away.
Right.
The others, as bad as they are, and I have many examples that I don't want to share here because people would remember this, immediately recognize themselves. But when people have done really bad things to me, and I could have responded in a, I'm the doctor, I'm in charge, I could, but I've thought maybe that's not the first thing to do in this case. Maybe I should bring them in and say, look, here are all the options available to me that I could have done because of your behavior. But I'm choosing not to do them. I'm choosing to do this for now. So let's try and fix this because I don't want you to do this again.
Yeah.
So trying to earn the, it's not just earning respect, but trust.
Trust, yeah.
Earning trust in people that they know that you're not going to take them and blast them out there when they've done something wrong. Yeah. Hopefully allows people to tell you when things are going wrong. Yeah. And I've heard that. I've been very lucky and privileged for even the custodial staff, maybe the cleaners and so on, have come and said, Doc, I have something I really want to tell you about.
That's really good.
I don't know if it's my place to tell you, but I'm going to. I said, go ahead. Yeah. And then they tell me really important stuff. And sometimes it's something terrible I've done.
Oh, my goodness.
But I don't know.
But the fact that they're able, I mean, that speaks volumes. The fact that they're able, even if I'm sure they're uncomfortable, but that they're able to take that step and still even verbalize that, because that would not happen all the time or everywhere.
And it's been very helpful because what has happened is a misinterpretation. It's not that I did something wrong. They misinterpreted what I was saying. And to them, it came as really terrible. So when I've been given the opportunity to actually explain it, it's like, oh, that's what you meant. But I would not have been able to have that opportunity if they didn't feel like they could come in and say this to me. So it's really important to be, that's humility. It's really important to understand that we're all part of one team. The custodial staff is part of my team. Everyone, they're all playing critical roles, right? And because if they're not there, how is the hospital going to work? So I want to see that we are all part of this team.
Yeah, that's great. I can tell that you've been so intentional about creating that culture. Right. It's not by accident. It's not just what you thought of in the moment, but really a lot of intentionality there too.
Culture determines how far your organization will go. It's important to take the temperature of the culture of the environment when you start, but also every now and again, because the culture that I would like to build is a culture of mutual respect for each other. Is a culture of safety, like I feel safe. And whatever that means, and there are so many different angles to feeling safe. I feel safe. I feel like I can come to work with my challenges I feel. So that culture of caring for the other, right? And caring for the other is not just the patients, it's also the staff. Because I think if the staff feel cared for, they're more likely to transmit that to patients. But if they don't feel cared for,
it's very hard to muster from.
they're not exactly. But that took me a while to get there. This is not something I learned very quickly. In my earlier days as an administrator or a leader of a team, my mantra was, and it still is, but with an addition now. My mantra was, all we're doing must be for the benefit of the patients. That's it. Let's focus everything about patient. I don't care what's going on with staff. I don't care what's happening. It's all about the patients.
Which sounds good.
And
at one level.
It's still true because our ethics say that it must all be for the benefit of the patient. But then you step back and you think, well, who's taking care of these patients? So as I grew and as I matured in my leadership, I began to appreciate more that I should have the same effort to staff wellness and care that I'm thinking about for patients. Because then I decided the idea is just break everything down. We're all human beings. We all deserve care. We all deserve wellness. We all deserve, your title as staff is one, your title as patient is another, leader, we're all one. So when I began to think about it that way, it began to dawn on me that the patients are going to do better when the staff are well. But I didn't get there overnight.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, in a sense, even just thinking about there's so many things to attend to in your roles too. So that also makes sense to me as well. But then even just thinking about, again, this aspect of leadership and the culture you've created, because so many things that I've seen and experienced where people feel bad bringing things up to the quote unquote leaders. Oh, I don't want to bother them. They have too many things to take care of. But then how that trickles down actually impacts the work being done. Because I mean, this is extreme. If there's a toxic culture amongst the staff, that is going to negatively impact everything. The patients, the leadership, and not that was where this was going, but at one extreme, I think it's easy for people to see that, but it's easy for people to miss it when it's not toxic, but there are still things that have to be addressed that are still impacting day to day.
So I think what you're highlighting is what I think I talk to myself, right? I know I can say all leaders, so I'm just talking to myself. You can't rest on yesterday's success, yesterday's feelings. Things were great with staff yesterday, but what about today, right? The staff felt comfortable yesterday, but what about today? So it's a continuous checking of the temperature, right? It's a continuous showing up in a certain way because it's going to take a while for certain staff to believe that they can do what I'm asking them to do. Like, come to me, talk to me, I have an open door policy, come and do whatever, and I do. But it's going to take a while for some staff, based on their own experiences, to feel emboldened enough to come in, right? And so I have to find a way to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat so that it becomes the norm. And even then, every now and again, I want to check to see that is still the norm. It's a work in progress. It really is. And it's a continuous check-in. So I want people to see me for whom I am and what I say and what it is. But experience matters. And people's experiences can be very, very different. If you've had and I've had bosses, right? And I still have bosses. In fact, I have multiple bosses. But I've had bosses who are attentive, caring, and I perform my best under them. In fact, I take risks, right? I take calculated risks that work, thank God. But the fact that I can even take calculated risks is because I trust that my boss is listening. He's not going to kill me when this risk, something bad happens out of it. We're going to have a mistake. I mean, if he wants to hold me, but it's not going to kill me. I've also had other bosses who are more by the book and strict and tight and this. And it's difficult to be innovative when you have those kind of bosses. It's difficult to step out of a particular mindset. Because if you step out, even if nothing bad happens, oh my God, you shouldn't have done it. What if this and what the what ifs, right? So I've received both, and therefore I know what I prefer, and I try to do that. I try to encourage people to think outside the box.
Yeah.
I tell them, I know you might make mistakes, bad things might happen, but let's talk about it. At least let's see if we can manage the potential bad things first. But we're talking about it openly.
Yeah.
So that's what I prefer.
Yeah. Wow. That's so good. I mean, there's so much I'm taking from what you're saying too. Even not to focus too much, but even the fact that this podcast exists.
Yes.
Is very much in line with this whole idea of taking a risk, being innovative, and having leadership provide the open door for that to happen. Because as people know, this is not typical.
This is not normal.
In many ways. So
yes, I get it.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what I mean. That's exactly, it's and I also actually going back to medical school, one of my professors, and I used to like this professor more than others. You're doing ward rounds. These ward rounds are very scary I don't know how it is these days, or in the US. But in Nigeria, which in the British train and the British system, in ward rounds, you have the medical students, the residents, the nursing students, all the other students, the attendings, the higher senior residents, all together gathered around the patient.
Okay.
And then the consultant would ask a question. And of you, the medical student, in the presence of all of these people.
Wow.
And it's very anxiety provoking.
Yeah.
But what I appreciated about some of the attendings are the ones who don't have a set answer. They want to hear how you're thinking about it. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you say this and they say, oh, tell me about that. I wasn't thinking about that.
Oh, wow.
And then you say it and they say, but what if it ends here? And it becomes a dialogue.
Right.
And you're now engaged in this discussion. And they learn, you learn. Now I have other attendings. There are 5 courses here. 5 courses. Number 1, number 2, you haven't mentioned number 3 and 4 and 5. Even if the 6 is great, who cares? You haven't mentioned the 5. And that's how and so those are the rigid.
Yeah.
And I don't like that either.
Yeah.
So, and I have to always try to challenge myself because sometimes I forget to not be that, to be the one who says, let me, how's that?
Yeah.
But that drives people crazy as well. Those who are like by the book.
Oh, yeah.
Who are strict. And I'm saying, oh, no, hold on. Let's hear this. So it's just a different way of approaching things.
But you need both.
You need both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many, you can see my mind there's so many things that you're bringing up. One thing, again, just to give our listeners, so that you're giving them so many glimpses as well, but now that you're in your CEO role, I mean, this is a mental health institution that was built on a partnership between the state and the university, which is also unique and innovative. But what does a day-to-day look like? And I realize there probably is no typical day-to-day, but I mean, as much as you can let people know, because I know people are hearing these things thinking, well, how does that actually get implemented in this day? And where do you have time to do these types of things?
I think that maybe the starting place is to just build a picture of what the Connecticut Mental Health Center is and what the collaboration between state and Yale is, because that can tell you how my day-to-day will flow. So as you rightly said, it's a wonderful, almost unique, it's not completely unique, but almost unique collaboration between a prestigious academic medical center and a State Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. And so, the Mental Health Center itself has multiple really, I think, I'm completely biased, I might say, but multiple really wonderful attachments, sites, satellites, programs, right? We have, I don't know, I don't want to list all of them, but maybe the mission will help get into them. We have 4 areas that you call the mission of Connecticut Mental Health Center. One is clinical care, which has got to be number 1, right? Yeah. So number 1, because we provide services to individuals who are severely mentally ill and have substance use disorder problems. And we are I would say, the safety net, the last bus stop for anyone who is really struggling and can't be helped in any other place. We can't refer people on to any other system. We are the last bus stop. So clinical care is crucial. But in order for the clinical care to be effective, given the individuals we are tasked with treating who have refractory illness that is difficult to treat, right? There must be research attached to it. So the next element is the research. That's the collaboration between state and Yale, so that Yale will bring the research. What is mental illness? What are the causes of mental illness? The treatment, the prevention, how can we prevent them? Rehabilitation. And so Connecticut Mental Health Center has two really active research elements. One is clinical research, and the other is bench research. It's amazing. So that how do they flow into each other, into helping support the clinical mission? So everything has got to flow into clinical mission. And then there's education, right? It's, again, a vibrant educational setting because of the Yale faculty and the state faculty and research and stuff. And so we have medical students, nursing students, psychologists, social workers, residents from all levels of training, from 1 to senior residents and so on. So it's a vibrant educational center. But what that does is it challenges the clinicians to provide better care.
That's
because
good.
if you have students questioning you and prodding you and say, I agree with that, you have to go back and think, what does the literature say?
Why am I doing this?
Exactly. So it feeds back into the clinical mission of care. And then the last is community. How are we improving the community around us? New Haven, psychosocial things. We have street psychiatry. We have, community partners looking into residential homes. And again, yes, you're providing good service. Where do they go to, and how can we prevent them? So those are the missions. And we have many, many programs that look into identifying individuals before they have a mental breakdown, like prodromal symptoms. How can we deflect them from actually developing? We have those who, they've only had the first break. Maybe we can interrupt it now so they don't continue. We have, forensic drug diversion programs, law and psychiatry. We have Hispanic clinic, which is a really vibrant Hispanic clinic with a Hispanic psychiatric fellowship, which is the only one of his type in the country. Is down there at CMHC. We cater to young adult services, children, there's all kinds of things going on. So
and I can hear your excitement, even as you're talking about it.
It's huge, right? All right. So first, and I told you, the first thing to do is to examine the landscape, right? So I have to visit every single program. And the other thing you probably didn't mention is I've only been in this role for 3-4 months, maybe. So, all right. So I have visited every single program to understand what makes people tick. Are they happy? What are the issues? How can I help? All those kinds of things. And of course, you come away with a lot of work that now we have to work on. So if you go to my board, I have a board in my office that has task upon task upon task. And I'm checking them off every minute because I'm identifying what the issues are and I'm trying to check them off, as we go. I'm, bringing in my partners. We have brilliant, really brilliant staff, right? Absolutely fantastic staff. And so my task, as I said, as a coach, is figuring out how to use these brilliant minds and where to attack all of these different challenges I have seen. Because when you talk to people and you're there and you get to hear what the issues are. All right. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm looking, so which one have I not addressed? What are we going? Where are we with this? I'm following up. It's not, we did this yesterday. Okay, so where are we? When do I expect this? And so that's one. But I also have to pay attention to the stakeholders. Now, in my system, I have two major groups of stakeholders. I have the state and I have Yale. All right. So as a state institution or facility, we are accountable to the executive branch of government. We are, in fact, part of the executive branch of government. Regardless of which political party is in power, we are part of the executive branch. So whatever we are doing, we have to be aware that we are representing the executive branch of government. So legislators are looking at us and, governor's office, commissioners. So we we have to really pay attention to that. Those are our stakeholders. And I'm looking at things with the lens of how is this going to play out in this stakeholder view.
Right.
Another huge stakeholder group are patients, patients' families, conservators, guardians. We want to make sure that they see us as partners, not just as clinicians who are coming down from ivory tower and shooting everybody down and saying, but we're partners. Yeah. And I'm really fortunate that my predecessor in this role had established a patient advisory group.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. So every month you sit with individuals who are recovering at different levels of recovery, and they're holding us accountable. What are you doing about this? How your gate looks terrible. The door doesn't work. So they're holding us accountable. But we see them as partners, right? We want to do, and I take it seriously. When they come up with something, we take it seriously because it's important.
Right.
They are the stakeholders.
That's good. Because otherwise they'll just feel like they're talking to the air.
Right. And I have to go back and tell them, so you said this, and here's what we've done. Yeah. You said this, and here's what, so they can see how seriously we're taking them.
That's good.
Families, we're engaging families. I had a family meeting. I met with the families in a family program the other day. And the goal is to also help them understand that we want them to be partners. They're going through a difficult time.
Yeah.
Really, the patients are very vulnerable and sometimes challenging behaviors. Difference between mental health and physical health is it all boils down to behavior, right? That's how it comes across, and it can be very difficult. So how can we have family members be partners instead of accusing them? The history of psychiatry is that some illnesses parents have been held accountable for. You are the cause of why your son or daughter is this. But that's not this. We want to now use how do we work together. Staff members are stakeholders. So again, you have to listen. And staff members can come through staff unions. And so you want to be sure that you're not adversarial with the union, but you're trying to understand and hear what they're saying and trying to, sometimes it's very hard to hear, but you have to understand that this is important. They are your stakeholders. Advocacy groups like patient advocacy groups, legal advocacy groups hold us really accountable and tight, and it's tough. But they are stakeholders. You have to be thinking about them as well. And as a state institution, even the press is a stake, because things can come out in the press. So they are your stakeholders as well. And sometimes if you think something is going to come out a certain way, you think, maybe we should inform them first and have them understand what we're thinking so that it doesn't come out in a funny way. But they are stakeholders, right? And of course, our colleagues are stakeholders, right? And you have to also know all of that. That's for state. And then there's Yale, right? Yale president, Yale University, department chair. Those are all stakeholders. And so every single day, now what's my day like, right?
Those are a lot of tasks.
Every single day, you're thinking about all of this. You're trying to figure out, you get a message that the elevator is down. Well, what does that mean, right? How's that going to affect patients or family members, the community? And so you're always thinking about all of these different elements on a day-to-day basis. My job is such that you don't know what's going to happen. I may leave here and there's something else that's acute. And suddenly that takes precedence over everything else I need to do today. That's a lot of flexibility. That's how it is. Because again, you're paying attention to all of these different areas. But the most important is clinical care, because those are the people that we are serving ultimately. Patients, communities, where they come from, and so on. So forth.
And it strikes me just listening to you how much of a listener and a learner you are, because that's coming out in everything that you're saying. Regardless of who the stakeholder is, you're paying attention to what they're saying. You're actually making change. You're learning. You're adjusting. So
I think you have to. I think you have to. I think if you come at it from a place of learning. I just told you before we started, right, that I was thinking about taking a class to learn how to teach. I've been teaching for 1,000,000 years, right? But I'm still thinking, I have to learn how to, maybe there's a different way to learn how to teach. So you have to always be a learner. You have to be a listener. You have to be growing. You have to be willing to change directions with new information. You have to be, humble enough to say, I really messed up here.
Yeah.
I should have done something different.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it back.
Yeah.
Just forgive me for this. I just, you have to be willing to do all of that.
Yeah. I think that's so refreshing. I mean, I'm anticipating that most people listening to this would not have guessed that would be the type of thing that a leader of a mental health institution would say. Because I think so for so many of us, our image in our mind is rigid, controlled. This is just the way things are, and not an environment with this kind of back and forth to actually help all these stakeholders, including the patient. So,
well, I'm talking about myself.
Yes, that's true.
I can't claim the authority to talk for every leader. I'm just saying this is how I see leadership for me. Yeah. And I'm seeing it as something that also worked for me when I was, not in this position. I've always tried to do things differently. Even when I wasn't a leader, I've always tried to make things different and better, but it's always thinking outside the box.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you can either get shut down or you can be allowed to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that it's always better when you're allowed to think and try things, obviously within reason, because there are things that maybe you have to be mindful about. Yeah. But at least there's a discussion that allows you to tell why there's a reason or there's a limit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so refreshing to hear it too. And then again, tying back to, because you mentioned mentorship, some of the things that you'd heard from Dr. Griffith. You also mentioned things that were put in place by your predecessor, Dr. Mack, in terms of hearing from the patient. So, I mean, and then you're also building that as well. So for me, I just find all this just very encouraging as well. So
thank you.
Yeah. The time has gone too fast.
I see. Oh my
God. One thing
I did. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
To ask you, because the way you started the conversation in terms of what you appreciate when you get out of bed in the morning.
Yes.
What does a win look like at the end of the day?
Excellent. What does a win look like at the end of the day? Why do we do this work? Why do we do this work? And I am always looking at the heart of our staff. What's your heart like? Like I just told you, I want to know what drives you, right? What drives me is if at the end of the day, I can sit back and say, it was tough, it was difficult, but I did the best I could. Honestly, I did the best I could, and I was able to make a difference. Or I did the best I could, and I didn't quite succeed, but I was trying hard. The question for me always is, how much did you try, right? And how many people did you ask? That's why I say I'm always asking. I'm always questioning, seeking consultation, asking, because some of the ideas I've had have not come from me. They've come from someone who is just throwing something out casually, saying, I was even thinking maybe, and just they didn't think it was important. I was like, oh my God, this is the answer I was looking for. So it's at the end of the day, can you sit back and, you have a dialogue. I have a dialogue with God. I'm a man of faith. I'm going to just throw it out there. At the end of the day, I'm going to ask God, do you think I did my best today? I serve a God of excellence. True. The God is a God of excellence. And the God expects excellence from me. He doesn't expect me to do only what my boss wants or what somebody in authority wants. He expects me to do what a God of excellence, wants me to do. Therefore, I must show up with excellence, in excellence, and it's tough and difficult and painful and outside the, all of that. But at the end of the day, did I, in my dialogue with God, was I successful today? And there have been times I wasn't successful, I failed. And I had to interrogate myself why I failed. And there have been times I've spoken to people terribly. In reflecting it, that's terrible. And of course, my next task is to try and meet with them tomorrow. To say, I'm so sorry. That's not how it shouldn't have come that way. Because again, I'm not pleasing myself. I'm trying to please a superpower beyond myself. So that's what the end of the day is for me. Have I made a difference? Have I shown up in the best way I could, despite all the challenges of funding cuts and government this and restrictions? Have I found a way to be creative around this and still made a difference? That's the end of the day for me.
Wow. Very, very well said. Very powerful. That's something I'm going to have to listen to start my day, to help me have that framework to get to the end of the day, because it's so important. But again, this has been a very refreshing conversation. I'm not surprised, but I'm also grateful that you've taken the time to join us and that you're willing to sit in this studio on this platform to share this with so many others as well. I know people are going to get a lot out of this as well. So Dr. Dike, thank you again for joining the Addy Hour podcast.
Well, I am honored. Actually, I'm really honored that you asked me to come. It's a privilege, So thank you very much for that.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, least I could do. And definitely well earned.
All right.